When it comes to countries invaded by crows, India is a prime example. The crows here are different from those in other places. They aren't invasive species, but native to the Indian subcontinent and neighboring Asian regions. The house crow, which naturally inhabits areas like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Nepal, has adapted well to the local climate and environment. India, with its abundant garbage and food scraps from markets and slaughterhouses, is particularly attractive to these crows. Coupled with cultivated crops, it didn't take long for them to establish large populations in both urban and rural areas of India. This naturally causes a lot of trouble for locals. Unlike other countries that see crows purely as pests, in India they also hold cultural and religious significance. Here, crows are often seen as the souls of ancestors and messengers between the living and the dead. They are believed to carry offerings to the world of the deceased and help guide spirits across the river Styx. During ancestral festivals, people not only refrain from driving away crows but also feed them to ensure their ancestors' peace. This unique belief makes it nearly impossible for the Indian government to control crow populations effectively. Worse still, these troublesome birds didn't stop at India's borders. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as maritime networks flourished, cargo ships frequently traveled between ports along the Indian Ocean coast. Crows often roosted around ship docks and port warehouses due to human waste, leading some groups to accidentally board ships and cross oceans to East Africa. These crows from India were quite content with their new home, finding plenty of food and waste, as well as suitable nesting sites in buildings and trees. Moreover, they had few natural predators, especially in urban areas where large African predators are absent. As a result, Indian crows began to establish themselves along the coast and gradually spread inland. They not only wreaked havoc on local food supplies and agriculture, but also carried diseases that locals feared. Unlike India, Africa didn't have unique cultural or religious ties with these birds. Thus, as the situation worsened, governments across Africa started taking action. Initially, methods like bird traps, giant elephants, likely a metaphor for large-scale efforts, and traditional hunting were employed. However, most of these proved too costly or inefficient. Traditional shooting could kill crows but only in small numbers, having little impact on their overall population. To address this, African governments turned to an American-made poison called stalagite, originally designed to control invasive bird species, like the European starling. Although not specifically for house crows, it was still effective. Its delayed toxicity allowed crows to lower their guard against it, and its low residual levels reduced risks to scavengers. From 1998 to 2005, many regions reported significant drops in crow populations after using stalagite, even reducing them to single digits. This suggested the poison might be the best solution for controlling crows in Africa. However, this promising approach was short-lived due to bureaucratic hurdles and high costs associated with importing and managing the poison safely. After 2005, African countries ceased its use, seeking cheaper alternatives. Without stalagite, how could they control these formidable birds? One suggestion was using natural predators like eagles in Scotland. A gamekeeper set up a crow trap that caught 7 crows. He planned to kill 6 and leave 1 as bait, but received a call shortly after finding an eagle had entered the trap and eaten all the crows within minutes. This dramatic event sparked interest in using eagles against invasive crows. Researchers then tested this idea by observing wild eagles hunting crow flocks, but results were less than expected. Initially, eagles did prey on some crows, but soon enough, scholars noticed that the efficiency of eagles hunting crows was rapidly declining. The reason behind this phenomenon turned out to be the crow's incredible memory and recognition abilities. Numerous studies have shown that crows are smarter than many other birds, with remarkable memories and a strong tendency for revenge. For example, in India, there was an incident where a local person tried to save a baby crow trapped in barbed wire. Other crows mistakenly identified him as the culprit and attacked him relentlessly whenever he ventured outside, no matter how much he changed his clothes or hairstyle, or even switched perfumes. It didn't help. Even more astonishingly, These crows seemed to target only this one person and ignored other passers-by. What is fascinating is that daily attacks came from different crows each day, not the same ones every time. Any crow spotting him in his neighborhood would attack without hesitation. This isn't an isolated incident. Researchers have conducted experiments with masked individuals and found that crows can clearly remember human faces and retaliate against those who wrong them. Moreover, these crows don't just attack but also inform other crows about the enemy, spreading the message throughout their community. As a result, even crows who hadn't witnessed any wrongdoing would join in attacking this person whenever they saw him. This information is passed down through generations of crows, leaving some people tormented by them for years with no escape. Interestingly, this characteristic of crows has also been observed when dealing with eagles. Initially, many crows were captured by eagles, but these crows quickly learned to recognize the eagle as their main enemy and spread the word within their group. News of an eagle's presence would swiftly circulate among them, putting all nearby crows on high alert. Once a crow spotted or heard an eagle, it might call for others to join in attacking the eagle collectively. Crows are one of the few small birds capable of standing up against eagles, and this behavior was termed mobbing by an animal scientist in 1963, a collective attack on larger predators to drive them away. Especially when eagles approach crow nests, mobbing is common. The attacked eagle risks attracting even bigger predators that could hunt it down if exposed. Consequently, scholars observed that these eagles began avoiding confrontations with crows and instead chose easier prey. Therefore, introducing large numbers of wild eagles into African cities to drive away crows might harm other small animals living there. In 2025, the African government thus re-approved the importation and use of American poisons for mass poisoning campaigns against crows. But does this mean that using eagles is ineffective? Not necessarily. It's just a matter of method. Subsequent research showed that while releasing many wild eagles doesn't work, trained eagles can be highly effective against small birds. Wild eagles often flee when mobbed by crows, but trained ones follow human commands and don't retreat from attacks. Instead, they dive at the crows repeatedly, making this behavior unpredictable for the crows who have evolved to expect certain predator behaviors. This makes them realize that staying in a particular area is unsafe, leading them to abandon it rather than continue fighting. Nowadays, trained eagles are indeed used for bird control, such as in the falconry seasonal crow control program in downtown Trenton, USA, or using eagles to drive away seagulls and ducks at British waste sites. The most common application is at airports worldwide, where trained eagles patrol regularly to keep birds away for safety reasons. But can this method work on flying creatures like monkeys? Historical records show similar experiments with eagles and primates. For instance, in Barro Colorado Island, Panama, which is a paradise for monkeys without natural predators except diseases, scientists introduced two monkey killers, harpy eagles, in 1999 to study their interactions. Harpy eagles are among the largest raptors and excellent at hunting monkeys with sharp talons up to 12 to 13 centimeters long. They can attack from a stationary position on trees without needing to fly or dive, making them highly effective hunters against primates who mainly stay in tree trunks but struggle to spot predators. Initially, many monkeys were hunted, especially young ones. However, the monkey population's response was similar to that of crows. They learned and adapted over time. These monkeys, after being hunted for a while, began to adapt and learn ways to reduce their chances of being caught. For example, researchers observed that the monkey groups invented unique calls when spotting eagles to warn nearby troops. In daily life, they would keep the young ones in the inner part of the tree canopy. When moving as a group, these young monkeys stay in the middle of the troop. Additionally, their entire activity became more secretive. They no longer expose themselves for long periods. After these changes, although the eagles didn't give up hunting the monkeys, the proportion of monkeys in their diet clearly decreased. They spent more time searching for other prey like slow-moving sloths and anteaters. Smart monkeys can quickly learn and adjust their behavior when faced with sudden threats, much like crows do. Now, based on this interaction between eagles and these animals, we can somewhat estimate the effects of deploying eagles during the Boer conflict in South Africa. From a physical standpoint, large eagles could theoretically kill young or smaller boars. However, ecologically speaking, the likelihood of boars becoming prey is extremely low due to their powerful canine teeth and tight, knit social groups that offer strong collective defense. For wild eagles, attacking boars would be high risk behavior with potentially fatal consequences. Therefore, it is clear that deploying wild eagles would indeed work. But what about trained eagles? Could they successfully deter the boars? The success of deterring prey depends on whether the prey considers the predator a significant threat in evolution. In the case of crows, they naturally see trained eagles as predators. However, for boars, their main threats are leopards, lions, or hunting dogs. Airborne dangers carry far less evolutionary weight than ground-based ones. In other words, eagles aren't absolute enemies to them, but rather specific conditions that require caution. This means the boars don't feel the same level of death pressure from trained eagles as crows do from their natural predators. That might explain why conflicts between Cape Town's boars and humans continue without a fundamental solution. Do you agree?